Are we recording? Good day, guys, and welcome to a new segment that I would like to call Serial Story Time, or as I like to call it, C.S.T. Welcome to C.S.T. So basically what's going to happen is I'm going to eat this cereal, and I'm going to tell you a story. So what story should I tell you for my first story? What is going to grab your attention and is going to make you want to click on this video? I shouldn't be thinking about this because you already clicked on the video, so you're already listening to me. So let's get into it. My very first Tinder date. Oh goodness. So let me give you a little bit of a background story. I had heard about Tinder sometime in 2014. So a lot of my friends were doing it. I had already tried online dating before. It's just not something that I wanted to do. I like meeting people in person. So early in 2014, I was hanging out with my roommate Micah, and he told me about some Tinder matches that he had been talking to. Eventually, I gave in, and I decided to get Tinder. So, I downloaded Tinder, created a very basic profile, didn't have too much information. I only had like 2 or 3 pictures of me. I matched with this one girl. I don't remember her name, to be honest. I remember she had a picture where she was at the Rio Tinto Stadium watching a Real Salt Lake game. She had a Real Salt Lake jersey and everything, and so I'm big on soccer, so I decided, hey, this girl looks cool, you know, she likes soccer. I don't tend to go out with the girls that play soccer, so I decided, let's see where this goes. So her and I start texting. We have a good flow going. It's one of those conversations where you don't really have to ask questions. The conversation just comes naturally. And that's super awesome. It's super weird because that doesn't happen on text. Especially not when you don't know the person. Normally you're like, so what's your favorite color? Mine's blue. And we ended up texting for about a week before I was like, I should probably get this girl out on a date because I feel like we've taken too long. A week is too long. But I asked her to go on a date with me and I said, hey, let's go to dinner. And she says, okay, let's go to dinner. Now, side note, I was living in West Jordan at this time and she lived in American Fork. So, me being the one who asked her out and me trying to be nice, I always said, hey, let's just go to dinner somewhere in American Fork. So because it's down in American Fork and it's gonna be a long drive for me, I suggested that maybe we should just go get some ice cream instead. It's kind of a long drive, that way it takes, you know, it's not awkward when you're on a date and you're like, that's very interesting. I like soccer too. Okay, so we set on a date to go get ice cream. I found a Sub-Zero that was just on Main Street, and we should just go there. The day of the date. It was like maybe 7 or 8 p.m. I like to meet people in the middle. I don't like going to their houses, and I don't like them to come to my house because that's just awkward. If things go wrong, you don't want them knowing where you live, and you don't want to go to their place. Not, at least not on the first date. I'm sorry. When it's online dating, I just don't agree with that. So anyway, we decided to meet up there. While I'm on my way down there, I actually get to the place and she texts me and she's like, what place is it? And I was like, it's Sub-Zero on Main Street. And then she tells me that she's lost. She's like, I can't find it. I don't know where it is. So I called her and I asked her where she was and she said, I'm at a Fresh Market parking lot. Fresh Market was literally not even a mile down the street, Main Street. So I was like, oh, it's alright, I'll come find you and then you can follow me back to the place. So I go over to Fresh Market, I see her car, she sees my car, and I tell her, alright, well, just follow me. And then we go to the Sub-Zero parking lot and she parks in front of me and then I park right behind her. When she gets out of the car, everything I thought I knew was thrown out the window, instantly. All the pictures she had on her profile were not recent at all. I'm guessing those pictures that I had seen were maybe 2 years old, maybe 3 years old. Because what I saw come out of that car was, maybe she was just really good with Photoshop, or maybe she was really good with the angles and the lighting. I don't know. Anyway, I was there, so I'm not just gonna get in my car and run away. I'm not that kind of a jerk. Oh, but it gets so much better, don't worry. So I go say hi to her. go in to order. She's looking at the menu and then she's like, I'm really bad with decisions. That's okay. Some people are not good with decisions. Sometimes they need some time to think, and that's totally fine. So I suggested the most generic thing you can think of. Get chocolate ice cream. Who doesn't like chocolate ice cream? And then she looks at me and she says, I don't like chocolate. And I was like, all right, well then you can get something vanilla or like a fruity one. And I'm just giving suggestions, I'm looking at the menu as well. And I'm like, yeah, just pick something. So I knew what I wanted and she was still deciding what to get. In this process of deciding what to get, we had to let about maybe 5 people go in front of us because she was still trying to decide what to get. Again, at this point, no big deal. It's fine. When we order, she went with chocolate. Did I spill? I spilled milk. What was I saying? Okay, so she decides to go with chocolate after all. I was like, oh, well, that's weird. I thought you didn't like chocolate. But again, not my problem. I'm just there for the date, right? So we get to a table, we sit down and we start talking, and then she jumps right into soccer. Because apparently that was a big topic when we were texting. We were just talking about soccer, like the teams we like, how long we've been playing soccer, yada, yada, yada. And then I found out that she is not just a fan of Real Salt Lake. She's obsessed with the team. But whatever, I like soccer, she likes soccer, and that was a little unusual for me to be with somebody who likes soccer as much as I did. Regardless, this date was not going well. She would not shut up. She would not let me talk. She would just keep talking the whole time. I'm just kind of like, That's very interesting. It came to the point where I finished my ice cream and she had just barely taken like a couple scoops because she just kept talking and she didn't let me talk. After I'm done eating ice cream and we talked for a couple more minutes, I'm just so ready to go home. And she tells me that she's not gonna finish her ice cream, so she's asking if I'm gonna judge her if she throws it away. And I was like, no, do what you want, And before I could say goodbye, she says, so what movie are we gonna watch? Now, backing up to when we were still texting, when we were talking about our date, what to get to eat, and what to do on our date, I remember saying, yeah, let's go out to dinner and then let's go watch the scariest movie we can find. Winky face, ha ha ha. Maybe I should have known better because sarcasm doesn't translate very well over text. It seems like she took my text seriously, but I'm not one to watch movies on first dates either. I have all these rules that I'll break every now and then, but they're more like guidelines. When you're trying to get to know somebody, you don't want to go to a movie because all you're doing is sitting there watching a movie and you're not talking to each other, but you're there. That's weird. I don't know about you, but I think that's super weird, and I do my best to not watch a movie on a first date unless I know the person really, really well and we've hung out before and we know what we're like. Then it'll be like, yeah, do you want to get some dinner and watch a movie? So back to the story. When we were leaving, she wanted to watch a movie and I didn't, but I didn't know how to say no. Big mistake. So I looked at the time and it was getting kind of late and I was like, well, I don't think there's any movies playing right now. I think it's kind of late and I don't know about that. And she was like, well, we can just get a red box. And you know what I said about don't go to a person's house on the first date? Well, I broke that rule. So I was like, all right, yeah, sure, let's go get a red box. I'm like, I'm not getting in your car. So I'm like, I'll just follow you, we'll go, and then we'll go from there. So I get in my car and I was like, crap. Now I'm gonna watch a movie with this girl and it's gonna be super awkward and I just did not want to be there, but for some reason I agreed to it. We went down to a Harmon's and we went to the red box and we're looking at the movies and I'm just kind of looking at the list of movies and I'm just trying to think of an excuse to get out of there. But then my brilliant head looks at this movie that I really wanted to watch and it just happens to be a scary movie. Oh! It was The Exorcism Part 2. I just love scary movies. It's hard for me to say no to a scary movie regardless of who it's with. I'll watch it by myself, I'll watch it with a guy friend, I'll watch it with a girlfriend, I'll watch it with friends, I'll watch it with my dad, I'll watch it with my mom, I'll watch it with my cats. So I look at this movie and it's The Exorcism Part 2 and I'm just kind of like, ooh, that is a movie that I do want to watch. And I'm like, do I want to watch it with this girl? I'm like, well, Nothing else looks good. That's the only movie that I really wanted to watch. And I'm like, well, it just happens to be a scary movie. And I'm like, hey, how about that movie? And so she's like, oh, a scary movie. And I was like, yeah, a scary movie. We get the movie, and then I told her that I would follow her to her house. She tells me she lives down the street from there, so I was like, okay, I'll just follow you. We go into this neighborhood, and down in American Fork, there are certain parts that are not very well lit. Like, there's not a lot of lights on the streets. And we went into one of those neighborhoods that doesn't have a lot of lights going on. Then we get into her street, and then she turns and parks into this house that has a big trailer parked next to it. And like, you know, she's a trucker, or her dad, her mom. So we don't go in through the main door. We go through the side door, which leads into the kitchen. And then she tells me, shh, we gotta be quiet because my parents are asleep. And I was like, oh, good. And then we go through her kitchen and we go into this. We didn't go to a TV room. We didn't go into, no. We went into a separate room, but it wasn't like a bedroom. It had a couch, it had a fridge, and a TV. So it was like I guess it is a TV room. So she puts in the movie on the DVD player, and she comes and sits next to me. So there's so much going on because she wouldn't shut up. She kept talking the whole time, and the movie starts. Before like the title even appear in the movie, she's like, I'm sorry, I like to talk during movies. And I was just thinking, great. Like, when it's a movie that you've both seen, when it's a movie that doesn't matter, if you're watching a movie for something else, not to really watch a movie, that's okay. We can talk. But if this is a movie I really want to watch, and she tells me that she's a talker during movies. So I was like, great, I'm just going to have to deal with this, and I'm going to try and pay attention to the movie. I wasn't really responding to what she was saying. Like, she kept talking, and then I just kept kind of like, There's a movie playing right now. We should watch it. There's the interesting parts coming up, so shh. It wasn't that extreme, but I really was just giving her really short answers because I wanted to pay attention to the movie. Sometimes the first part of the movie is the most important part because it sets up the pieces for the plot. It wasn't too much longer after the intro of the movie that she actually got kind of quiet, and I figured I'm gonna be able to actually enjoy this movie. And I'm looking at the screen, and out of my peripheral vision, I see her leaning forward while she's staring at me. So it kind of looked like this. If the screen is my peripheral vision, this is what I saw. And I'm sitting there and I can see her that she leans forward and she's looking at me, and I'm trying my hardest to not look at her. And I'm trying to focus on the movie, but I just can't ignore that there's this person sitting next to me that's leaning forward and it's staring at me. So as soon as I look over at her to see what's going on, she freaking jumps on me. She flips and gets on top of me and tries to make out with me. I don't know what's going on. My body's not responding the way my brain is telling it to respond. So I'm just sitting there like, ugh, ugh, ugh. So I finally push her off, and I'm just like, no thanks. And I look at her and I'm just like, you don't do that. And after that, I got up and I told her, you know what, I'm gonna go. And so I left. I literally just took off. I didn't say goodbye, I didn't say anything. That was one of the most terrifying experiences I've ever had on a first date. It's one of the reasons why I don't meet people at their houses. It's one of the reasons why I don't like online dating. So I went home and never again. Alright guys, so that was my first Tinder date. No joke. And I hope you liked it, because I didn't. And if you did enjoy my story, please leave a big thumbs up. Comment in the comment section below what other stories you'd like to hear from me. You can just give me a topic and I can probably tell you a story related to that topic. Alright guys, as always, don't forget to follow me on Instagram or Twitter. And I will see you guys next time. Peace out! So on these, these, I know how to speak English. These.